Across the world and across the Americas, young people are taking the lead. They're seeing problems, they're seeing injustice, and they are finding ways to take action. And the main message I want you to know is that you have a partner. In me, and you have a partner in the United States government. So, muchas gracias. Let's take some questions. And now we're going to start with some questions. I'm going to take off my jacket because it's a little hot. President Obama, all right, so we're going to start with this question from this gentleman right here. Please introduce yourself as you speak. Hold on, the mic is not working. No, not yet. Do we have a second mic? Testing 1, 2, 3. Hold on, here's the technical expert. Here we go. Here's another one. Not yet? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here we go. We got to try this one. One of these is going to work. Question, testing. President Obama, oh, there you go. Hey. Question, good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Luis Santiago PH. I'm from Caracas, Venezuela. I'm a YLAI fellow. We're working on the first electronic health records platform for Latin America, and I was a proud member of this court of YLAI fellows. I'm here to read a question from our YLAI network. There were 200 questions posted on Facebook, but Carlos David Carrasco Muro from Venezuela asks. In Venezuela, there's a debate about what matters most for stability, whether it's peace or democracy. How can we create a world where we do not have to choose between them? Both are important for development. Thank you very much. President Obama, well, it's a great question. And it's a timely question, because I think that after a decade in which we've seen more and more countries adopt democratic practices, you're now starting to see some of those gains reversed. You're seeing some countries that are going backwards rather than forwards in terms of freedom of the press. In terms of freedom of the internet, in terms of respecting political opposition and civil society. And there are those who argue that democracy is incompatible with development because you need order. You need somebody from the top to tell people what to do in order to achieve. And I would just suggest that you look at the evidence over the last 20, 30, 40 years. Those countries that pursue democracy, that pursue transparency. Where their leaders are held accountable, those are the countries that are doing best. Those countries that are repressive, that don't respect democracy, that silence critics, they go backwards economically. And it makes sense when you think about it, because in this time that we live in, development is based on knowledge and innovation and education and new thinking and sharing of ideas. It's not based on how much land you have, it's not based on natural resources. It's based on your people. And in a democracy, what we're able to do is people, through the freedom they enjoy. Are able to create, start businesses, start organizations, solve problems. And what's also true then is, they're able to hold the government accountable, so when the government doesn't deliver, for its people, if it engages in corruption, if its policies only benefit a few rather than the many, people can react and respond. And over time people get better policies from their governments. And look at what's happened just along the coast here in Latin America. If you look at Chile, Peru, Colombia, all of them are growing faster. All of them are doing better because of the new openness and democracy that exists in these countries. And what's true here is true around the world. Now, the one thing I have to say though is, democracy is more than just elections. Democracy is also a free press. Democracy is also freedom of religion. Democracy is making sure that the rights of minorities are protected, not just the majority. Democracy is rule of law and an independent judiciary. So it's a matter of all these elements coming together. But the main thing we've learned is that, in this knowledge-based society, you can maintain order for a while with repressive, non-democratic governments, but it will rot from within. Over time, those governments fail and those economies fail because when they make mistakes, they try to hide them instead of trying to solve them. When somebody has a legitimate criticism of a problem, it can be ignored because the politicians don't have to answer. And eventually, those societies end up doing much worse. Oftentimes by increasing repression as people get more and more dissatisfied, and then society breaks down. It's also true, by the way, that non-democratic countries are much more likely to get into wars with other non-democratic countries. Democracies tend to try to solve problems through diplomacy and dialogue. So not only is there not a contradiction between democracy and development, it is my belief that in order in this new knowledge-based economy, for development to be successful, you need democracy. I will say this one last thing, though. Democracy can be frustrating, because democracy means that you don't always get 100% of what you want. Democracy means that sometimes you have to compromise. And it means that the outcomes of elections don't always turn out the way you would hope. And then we're going through that in the United States. And I'm doing everything I can to help facilitate a successful transition with the president-elect in the United States. But as long as we keep our democratic systems open, then the society has a chance to try something new. And then it can make a decision and correct problems that they see in the future, and progress will continue. Good. All right. Let's see right there. Yeah, you. So let's get a microphone to you so we can hear you. And introduce yourself. By the way, I apologize, my Spanish is just okay. So we're doing this in English, but hopefully I'm being clear. Go ahead. Question: Hi, Mr. President. I'm very glad to be here that you are here in my country, in Peru. And for me, it's an honor to be here in this conference. Well, my question is, what do you think about the European Union has come together? To promote military integration in defense that after the victory of Trump? And do you think we have global paranoia created by the media, or it's real? President Obama, good. What's your name? Question: Jocelyn Ramirez PH. President Obama, nice to meet you. Are you a student here? Question: I'm a student from UPC. President Obama, fantastic. Okay. You have some classmates here. Well. The United States is such a big country that, after any election, people are uncertain. And I think it will be important for everybody around the world to not make immediate judgments but give this new president-elect a chance to put their team together, to examine the issues. To determine what their policies will be, because as I've always said, how you campaign isn't always the same as how you govern. Sometimes when you're campaigning, you're trying to stir up passions. When you govern, you actually have reality in front of you, and you have to figure out, how do I make this work? The alliance between the United States and Europe, through NATO, is very strong. And the President-elect Trump has already reaffirmed our commitment to NATO. We actually have been asking, under my administration, for Europe to carry more of the burden of defense spending than they've been doing. Because the United States spends a lot more than some of our NATO partners. And they recognize and acknowledge, I think, the need for them to spend more time, more resources on that. With respect to Latin America, I don't anticipate major changes in policy from the new administration. I think the work that we've done has been successful in establishing the strongest. Relationships between the United States and Latin America in modern history. The friendships that we've established with countries like Peru. The reopening of diplomatic relations with Cuba, the investments we're making in trade. In environmental policy, and so forth, all those things I expect to continue. There are going to be tensions that arise, probably around trade more than anything else. Because the president-elect campaigned on looking at every trade policy and potentially reversing some of those policies. But once they look at how it's working, I think they'll determine that it's actually good both for the United States and our trading partners. There may need to be modifications. I've called for modifications. In certain elements of our trading policy. When we established the U.S. Peru Free Trade Agreement. One of the requirements was for Peru to strengthen its protection of labor rights, workers' rights. And we did that in part because, with all of our trading partners, we don't want to be disadvantaged. Because we're dealing with labor that has no rights, and so it gets the lowest wages and can be exploited. But we did it also because that will help lift the wages and benefits and protections that workers here in Peru enjoy. Because ultimately that's good for everybody.